Good morning, guys. Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we build business, create community, find freedom, and share success. It's Tuesday morning, so that means it's time for another installment of Toolbox Tuesday. And I figured this week we might as well have a literal Toolbox Tuesday. It's been just about a year, I realized, since I've done a EDC Toolbox everyday breakdown carry. So I wanted to show you guys what exactly I keep in my handyman toolbox. All right, guys, real quick, if you're new here and you want to know more about me, toolmantim.co. You run by there. You can sign up for the monthly newsletter, check out the weekly podcast, find all my social links, and the shop. The best way you can support the content that I create is go by there. Check out way over 100 different Amazon products that I've used in my handyman business that have made me money or saved me money. You don't even have to buy any. If you just start your Amazon shopping at the shop section, anything you pick up will support the content I create, and I will be grateful. So thank you, guys. Okay, a lot of you probably know who I am, what I do, but my day job is a handyman. I run all seasons maintenance in East Central Alberta, Canada. I love to call it the frozen tundra because here it is not even November, although when you're watching this it's November. And you can see my breath in my shop. It was a hard frost last night, but I do a lot of year-round work. The biggest stuff I do, of course, is odd jobs and handyman work, but I'm huge into property management. And my big time, what happens is when I'm ready to head out, somebody will call and say, "Hey Tim, I have an emergency. I need to be able to grab one or two bags, one or two toolboxes and go." So when somebody calls and says, "Tim, I got an emergency, I just need to grab and go." And my toolbox evolves just like everything else. Some things break, some things get redundant, and I was on a really big kick this year about paring my toolbox down. I wanted to have a full-fledged, I can use it for just about anything, but I wanted it more compact, lightweight, and just better quality tools. I haven't upgraded everything this year. I'm still on the hunt for a few items, but as I show you the new ones that I've replaced with the old ones have gone, the new ones have come in, I'll just tell you why, what my thoughts are, that kind of stuff. But when I started this business 4 years ago, everything I had was just scabbed together from yard sales, stuff sitting in a bucket in my shop. It was just literally the tools I had on hand, and that is how to build a business. Start with what you have and then grow, buy, and build slow. And that's what I've done. So I figured it was time to show you guys what I carry. So let's start with my favorite. This is the oldest, longest tool that I've had. I actually bought this before I was married. It's an East Wing or Est Wing, depending on how you pronounce it, Sure Strike Hammer. This thing has built many a chicken coop amongst many other things. It helped me side my entire house this summer, and I accidentally left it behind at a customer's house a while back and I panicked. But this, to me, a good quality hammer is a buy it for life item. I can't be without it. The next thing was an upgrade this year, and this is the Milwaukee, I think it's called Slimline, something like that. I'll put the links in the description below, but I needed a better quality pry bar nail remover. The one I had, again, was left over from my pre-entrepreneurship days. Had to track this down. The only place I could find it was Home Depot, actually. But I was looking for a good quality hand tool, and you'll notice a bit of a pattern here. I do love DeWalt, but almost all my hand tools are Milwaukee, because until DeWalt recently announced their Tough series, this was basically the best stuff out there. I love this rubber coating. I use this thing all the time for demolition, hauling nails, prying things into place. This thing, indispensable. Let's go into the pliers. These are one of the few DeWalt sets that I got. These are an adjustable slip lock plier. I just keep one size. I have smaller ones that I can pull out if I need them, but this again is just my everyday carry. Where do you start? What do you do kind of kit. This thing gets you in and out of a lot of pinches. And I am sure that there is much better, U.S.A. made or, Germany made tools out there. But for me, for the rough stuff that I do, getting in tight spaces and fixing little things at property, these have worked really well. I may even upgrade again next year. Ever since I bought them, I like them. I've never loved them. The handles, like if you see, I don't know if I can show you, but there's a little bit of flex there. I would like something a little sturdier. Upgraded this year to a set of Stanley Fatmax, say that 5 times fast, Fatmax snips. I had just generic crappy tire brand ones before. These were awesome. I used these the entire summer for my siding, and there's so many other things that you end up using snips for. But again, I bought a 3-pack, 2 of them stay at home. The straight cut ones are basically all I ever use. These are the ones that take up the precious real estate in the toolbox. Now, I do keep a separate plumbing toolbox, but what I ended up finding out was 95% of the time when it's an emergency, there's only a couple of tools I end up using. And one of them is a pipe wrench or a monkey wrench. I used to love calling it a monkey wrench when I was a kid. I am going to upgrade this one. This is one I've had for a while. It's just a generic off-the-shelf, no-name brand, but it works really well. I used to keep this in my plumbing toolbox, but sometimes I'd get a call, wouldn't know what it was for. I'd show up with just this toolbox, didn't have this. So now this guy sits in the toolbox, and if I need plumbing stuff, I have one of my little DeWalt pack-out organizers that have all the little plumbing knickknacks in it, and that works really well. Picked these up about a year and a half ago, Craftsman vice grips. I love the rubber end of them. They're sturdy. Craftsman's pretty good. Turns out that they're made by DeWalt, Stanley, Black & Decker, the whole works as well. What more can you say? Vice grips, you have to have them sometimes. Now, these are one of the few leftover tools, again, from the beginning days. These are actually fishing Needlenose pliers. They work well. I don't use Needlenose very often. These will probably end up getting upgraded this year, but for now, they say Red Wolf on them and made in China. That's all they say. I won them in a free, fishing tool bag kit one time, and they've held up pretty good. They're not great. I'd like something with like the rubber's huge on them, but the inside metal's really small. When you squeeze on them, they twist a bit, but they do the trick. Wire strippers, another area I'm going to upgrade eventually. These have been with me. I think these might even have been my dad's or close. I'm not sure. But they do what they need to do. I definitely like an automatic pair eventually, like ones that you click down and they strip the wire off. But funny how often I end up doing tiny little bits of electrical. Now you guys are going to see this and you're going to laugh. Here's my Milwaukee miniature tiny hacksaw. Now I did a rather, I wouldn't say scathing review on this summer, but it definitely was a review that said I wasn't happy with everything about it. I like the size that it takes in my toolbox, and that's why it's still in there. Because a full-fledged hacksaw just takes up way too damn much room in my toolbox. So I can carry one with me, but for little tiny things, I've managed to make this work. It rattles, it jiggles, it does the trick. I'm still looking for something to upgrade, but for now, this is the hacksaw that I carry every day. A caulking gun, this is one of those things that takes up a lot of space in my tool bag or toolbox, but you just have to have it. I don't know. Anyway, I'd love to have a bigger one. I'd love to have one with something that cuts the tip on the end for me, a few other things. But for now, this is the guy I carry. That right there is worth its weight in gold. How often I've had to go and open up a tube of caulking and not have something to puncture the inside. But this is as small as I can find that just sits in there. If I'm going to do a whole lot of work, I've got better ones, but that guy holds up. I did pick up a DeWalt adjustable wrench kit this year. Haven't actually started testing it. Had it for like 6 months and didn't do a review. But this is just a little generic adjustable wrench. This guy I find gives me enough size opening right there that I can basically do what I need to do for small repairs. If I need bigger stuff, I get the heavy gear. But again, this is my grab and go everyday carry kit, and it does it. Now it's funny, I'll show you a couple different things here. A scraper, something I never used to carry, but this thing comes in handy. I use it all the time, whether it's cleaning off old paint or debris or caulking or spray foam. But for whatever reason, I'm always looking for something to do a nice flat scrape. So this has ended up going from my sitting around in the shop. It's migrated itself as an everyday carry tool this year. And sometimes I carry 2 putty knives, sometimes I carry 1. This is the one I've been carrying for right now. It's a Benchmark made by Home Hardware, really nice heavy-duty wood handle. I try to keep it fairly clean, but this is really nice for smoothing out just about anything. I also like to carry a little 1.5 inch one sometimes. It comes and goes in my toolbox, but I always have to have at least one putty knife. My Stanley stud finder, it works. It takes a 9-volt battery. I hate 9-volt batteries. What more can I say? I've never been super happy with this. I have 2 more over here that I'm going to start testing eventually, but for right now, this is the go-to stud finder because people are always like, Tim, can you hang this? Can you hang that? And most times now I try to talk them into using the 3M Velcro stick pads, but on the instance that I need to find something, so far so good. We'll add this. Now, here's another addition to my tool bag this year. Surprising how often I use this little torpedo level. Again, you grab this, you're going to do something. 9 times out of 10, if it's a small job in a house, all you're going to need is a little tiny level. And instead of bringing my 4-foot or 2-foot or whatever, trying to remember to bring that along, I decided to pick up the little DeWalt torpedo level. This thing was great when I was hanging siding. It was great for little fence post work. And you know what? I was surprised, but it holds up really well in my tool bag. And yeah, I like it. It's got 3 different level vials there. It also has, I don't know if you can see that, but I like that little ridge because sometimes it'll sit up on things really well. Rubber ends so that you're not, absolutely shaking the hell out of it every time you drop it. Here's another big upgrade. This, I'm going to sound like a tool geek. This is probably my favorite upgrade this year. Maybe not my favorite, but man, don't I love this thing right here. I had a cheap little aluminum silver one that was about, I'm going to show you the thickness. It was about half the thickness of this. But this little speed square I use all the time. Sorry for hitting the mic there, guys. And I'm sure there's tons of other tricks, and tips that a feller could share with these, but man, I just use this for making nice straight lines for cutting all the time. And I love the little measurements, the white paint on the black background. Everything's beveled or embezzled so that not embezzled, that's the wrong word. Anyway, it's all reliefed so that the paint stays down in the channels and you're not scraping it off when you use it. But I've used this hard. I've rode this thing hard, put it away wet all year, and it's held up beautifully. Love this guy. Now, a few small little odds and ends. Always got to have some electrical tape, mainly for bandages when I cut myself, but also for the occasional use of electrical work too. Got to have a Sharpie. I bought a Stanley fat Sharpie earlier this year. No, I'm not sure. Anyway, absolutely hated it. The thing had way too thick of a, a tip or chisel on the end of it. Couldn't make anything, couldn't make head nor tails out of a straight line out of it. So I went back to my plain old Sharpie markers. And I love this stuff here, True Blue. It comes in a lot bigger containers, but this is pipe dope that you put it on, you can set it and forget it. So I keep a small little tube in here. This tube's like $8, but I use it all the time. Anytime I'm, putting 2 threaded connections together, I always have this. Or sometimes you'll go in and somebody will have done some work and it'll maybe be brass or, a couple different types of materials together, and they'll have sprung a little tiny leak around the threads. Shut the water off, back it out, put a little bit of this on, tighten it back down, and you're good to go. Now, my everyday tape measure. There's a good chance, I hate to say this because Stanley, close your ears. There's a really good chance that I may end up swapping this out for the new DeWalt Tough series. I'm doing a side-by-side comparison right now. I really enjoy it, but as of right now, I have been using the Stanley Fat Max 30-foot standard only Freedom units tape measure for almost 4 years, and I love it. It's held up really well. I have 2. I keep one in my truck in the armrest, and I keep one in my toolbox. So tune in 12 months to see if I've switched, but for right now, sticking with the Stanley 30-footer. Screwdrivers. So I keep 3 insulated screwdrivers, hopefully to not get shocks, but I figured I'm not going to keep regular screwdrivers and insulated, so I might as well just keep, 3 of these. Standard slot, standard Phillips or Star, and standard Robertson or Square as my American counterparts. I love to call this the superior to the inferior Phillips, but we won't go there. Use this all the time. As you guys may or may not know, in Canada, like 95% of construction screws are Square Robertsons. Always got to have a number 2 Robertson on hand. Now this guy right here, the biggest, beefiest slot screwdriver I could ever have, and it comes in handy for so much stuff. basically for anything except being a screwdriver. It's a great pry bar. It's a great paint can opener. It's a great, you know, I need just a little more oomph on something. I can get it in there. It's even a chisel in an emergency. Try not to be, but I've beat and pounded on this guy, and I use him all the time. If you guys follow Vancouver Carpenter on YouTube, I know he keeps one of these in his bag too. And I had to laugh when I seen it because it's exactly what I use mine for. And if I had to do away with all my other screwdrivers and just have one, this would be the one. The Milwaukee multi-bit ratcheting screwdriver. It has, I believe it's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bits, plus a little hex bit right there. I love this thing. This thing seems like it's bulletproof. It was an upgrade this year for sure. I needed to have one. I thought about eliminating all of my insulated screwdrivers. Didn't do it. So this guy, oh yeah, if I had to put, I'm going to be putting together a small toolkit for my kids. This is going to be one of the items that goes in it because everybody needs one of these. Now down to the small stuff. You guys have seen this before. I can't imagine anything will ever supplant the Milwaukee Fastback utility knife unless they upgrade this and improve it a bit. But I love this. I've been using, whoops, sorry guys, a Milwaukee straight one as well on occasion. But this, yeah, what more can I say? You've heard me talk about it a ton. I keep a package, 50 pack of DeWalt Carbide utility knife blades in here. These things are awesome. They last supposedly 50 times as long, but I'd say 3 or 4 times as long as just your cheap steel ones. Love these guys. Always got to have a carpenter pencil or 3 and my wonderful carpenter pencil sharpener. If you haven't seen one of these, I think I got a video on it or at least a post on the website. Absolutely must have. This will be an area that I'm improving this year. Everyday carry. I just have a little tiny absolute generic brand, no name flashlight. It works. You need something, but you know what I end up using? My phone, like 95% of the time. But I always got to have a better flashlight. That's in there. My chisel, this was something I found on Instagram, fell in love with it, and I've used it a ton to the point where, if you can see, it really needs a good sharpening. But this is the FatMax foldable chisel. It replaced the no-name home hardware brand long one that was always getting beat up and biting me. Love this. Small, compact, fits in the toolbox a lot. Another item I picked up, I want to say just at the beginning of this year or at the end of last year. I love this little Bosch digital tape measure. Just point it, click. So much faster for taking room measurements. I just take 3 clicks on this, snap a picture, move on. And you guys are going to see a review on this coming up soon too, but I love my little Klein Tools electrical tester. I got to say, you guys will probably laugh at me, but I used the old try not to touch the live wires as often as I could trick for a lot of years. I don't know why I didn't pick up one of these ages ago. I went and changed out a GFCI plug and light combination at a rental recently. This thing saved me so much time, so much headache, and so much stress. So if you're looking for something that just, you point it at a wire and it tells you if it's live or not, so slick for troubleshooting. I should have had one years ago, but hey, some of us are, you know, dumb or not smart learners. So that's it, guys. I love doing these. This was the 2021 edition of What's in My Toolbox. Excuse me. So yeah, if you guys would like to see, say, what I carry for plumbing supplies or what I carry in my drill bag, because normally when I'm heading out the door, this guy comes with me and my drill bag comes with me. So maybe I'll do a separate video on what's in my drill bag, because to me, that's important as well. I have a whole bunch of little gadgets and gears in there that I like to carry. But those are the 2 things that if I'm going out on a job, I always grab and I get going. So I hope you enjoyed looking at what I carry. I'd love to hear your guys' discussion on it. You might say, Tim, you're a professional. Why do you carry some of that junk? Or you might say, Tim, you're not a professional. Why do you carry such expensive stuff? I don't know, whatever your opinion is. Oh, and the toolbox itself. This is something you're not going to find in the United States. This is a Canadian Tire, what do they call that? Maximum brand. Heavy duty. My in-laws got me this for Christmas a few years ago. and it's still holding up strong. I'm sure you can find similar ones in the States and places. All metal construction there with a nice heavy duty plastic top on the top. I like the latches. Occasionally I'll bump into them and they'll fall apart. But anyway, guys, thanks for dropping by. Always appreciate you hanging out with me. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.